That black Charger wasn't just vampire hunting transportation, it was a machine that Wesley Snipes personally modified in secret, sparked a bidding war between Mopar and the studio, and required building 7 identical copies that all met different violent ends. What started as New Line Cinema's attempt to outcool the Batmobile became action cinema's darkest vehicle, involving destroyed classics, insurance nightmares, and 5 missing Chargers nobody can locate. The Daywalker's ride hides secrets more intense than the film. Number 20. Wesley Snipes demanded a Dodge Charger. After rejecting every vehicle, the studio proposed including a Viper and Prowler. Here's something that'll blow your mind right out the gate. Wesley Snipes personally rejected 17 different vehicles that New Line Cinema proposed during pre-production, including a modern Dodge Viper and Plymouth Prowler, insisting Blade needed a classic 1968 Charger to properly embody intimidating vampiric presence. Director Stephen Norrington initially wanted Blade driving a sleek modern sports car that suggested cutting-edge technology matching his advanced weaponry and tactical gear. Studio executives preferred contemporary Dodge products that could facilitate lucrative product placement deals, with Chrysler worth potentially millions in promotional support. Snipes argued passionately that Blade's timeless supernatural existence required a classic muscle car, suggesting decades of accumulated power rather than disposable modern styling. The actor spent weeks researching classic American muscle cars, ultimately deciding the 1968 Charger's aggressive stance and menacing proportions perfectly matched Blade's character. Norrington initially resisted this choice, worried that a 30-year-old vehicle would look dated compared to the film's intended futuristic vampire underworld aesthetic. Snipes threatened to quit negotiations if forced to drive a modern car, creating production crisis before filming even began. New Line eventually capitulated after Snipes demonstrated how the Charger's intimidation factor would save money on dialogue by communicating character through pure presence. This creative standoff demonstrated Snipes' commitment to character details that extended beyond script and performance into every visual element. Number 19. The production built 7 identical 1968 Chargers costing $85,000. Each moving on to extravagant vehicle budgets. Transportation coordinator George Barris commissioned construction of 7 identical 1968 Dodge Charger replicas, costing approximately $85,000 each, creating a total vehicle budget exceeding $595,000 for a single car type. The replicas weren't simply purchased classics, but extensively modified performance machines built specifically for demanding stunt work and high-speed filming. Requirements. 3 Chargers received full racing modifications, including roll cages, upgraded suspension, performance brakes, and enhanced engines producing over 450 horsepower for chase sequences. 2 Chargers were hero vehicles maintained in pristine condition exclusively for close-up photography, where mechanical performance mattered less than visual perfection. The remaining 2 served as stunt vehicles designed for destruction sequences, with reinforced frames and safety equipment, allowing controlled crashes without endangering performers. Each replica required meticulous matching to ensure continuity across different shooting locations and lighting conditions, with paint specialists spending weeks achieving identical black finishes. Dodge provided technical consultation and some original parts, recognizing the promotional value of Blade's Charger, potentially revitalizing interest in their classic muscle car heritage. The extraordinary per-unit cost reflected both Hollywood's demanding reliability requirements and the extensive custom modifications, transforming stock Chargers into vampire hunting weapon platforms. This investment demonstrated Stephen Norrington's commitment to practical vehicle effects over computer-generated alternatives that would look less convincing during intense action sequences. Number 18. Wesley Snipes, personally modified. 1 hero Charger with hidden weapons compartments against studio insurance objections. And get this dangerous customization. Wesley Snipes personally designed and helped install hidden weapons compartments throughout one hero charger during pre-production, creating functional storage for actual prop weapons despite studio insurance concerns about unauthorized vehicle modifications. Snipes sketched detailed plans showing how dashboard panels could conceal silver stakes, door panels could hide sword storage, and trunk modifications could secure UV light weapons and ammunition. The actor hired a custom fabrication specialist to build these compartments in a private garage, working evenings and weekends outside official production oversight. New Line's insurance underwriters discovered these modifications during routine vehicle inspection and initially refused coverage, arguing the unauthorized changes violated safety protocols. Snipes demonstrated that the weapon storage enhanced rather than compromised vehicle safety by securing dangerous props that might otherwise shift during driving sequences. The compartments cost approximately $18,000 to design and install, paid personally by Snipes, who considered them essential to Blade's tactical readiness. Director Stephen Norrington initially worried the compartments would slow down filming by requiring constant prop retrieval between takes. The modifications actually improved production efficiency by keeping all necessary weapons immediately accessible within arm's reach during vehicle-based scenes. These functional compartments remained in the hero charger throughout filming, with some actually appearing on camera during weapon selection sequences. This customization demonstrated Snipes' commitment to creating fully functional character environments rather than accepting superficial Hollywood prop work. Number 17. Dodge initially refused product placement because they feared association with violent vampire content. But here's the kicker that almost killed the partnership. Dodge's marketing department initially rejected New Line Cinema's product placement offer, fearing association between their brand and graphic vampire violence would alienate family-oriented customers and damage their carefully cultivated mainstream image. Dodge executives argued in internal memos that depicting their vehicles in R-rated horror content contradicted decades of marketing, emphasizing American values, reliability, and wholesome performance enthusiasm. The company's legal team worried that negative brand association could cost millions in lost sales if conservative customers rejected Dodge products connected with violent supernatural content. Director Stephen Norrington personally flew to Chrysler headquarters in Auburn Hills, Michigan, to screen early footage and explain how Blade's heroic vampire hunter actually portrayed the Charger as a force for good against evil. Norrington emphasized that the Charger represented human ingenuity and American engineering excellence defeating supernatural threats through superior technology and raw power. Dodge's marketing director, Thomas Hausch, eventually recognized the promotional opportunity, calculating that Blade's anticipated success could introduce their classic muscle car heritage to younger demographics they'd struggled reaching. The company demanded script approval rights and guaranteed heroic vehicle portrayal before agreeing, setting precedent for automotive manufacturers' creative control in action film partnerships. This initial resistance demonstrated corporate anxiety about horror content before product placement in genre. Films became standard practice. The eventual agreement proved enormously beneficial for Dodge's Performance Division sales. Number 16. The Charger's engines were modern fuel-injected Hemi V8s disguised to look like a period-correct equipment. And speaking of deception, here's mechanical fakery. While the Chargers appeared to have period-correct 1968 engines, Transportation Coordinator George Barris secretly installed modern fuel-injected Chrysler Hemi V8 engines, producing over 450 horsepower for reliability during the demanding 6-month shooting schedule. The original 1968 engines were carbureted units producing approximately 375 horsepower maximum, insufficient for the repeated high-speed runs and sustained performance required by professional stunt work. Barris performed these engine swaps in just 3 weeks per vehicle, carefully preserving stock air cleaners and valve covers to maintain authentic visual appearance. The upgraded power plants allowed the Chargers to keep pace with modern traffic during Los Angeles night filming, without constantly overheating or breaking down between takes. Modern fuel injection provided instant throttle response essential for precise stunt choreography, where timing differences of seconds could ruin expensive action sequences. Wesley Snipes never knew about the engine modifications until promotional interviews months after filming wrapped, assuming the Charger's reliable performance resulted from exceptional maintenance of original equipment. The sound department recorded authentic 1968 Charger exhaust notes from a privately owned classic and dubbed them over footage to maintain acoustic period accuracy. Only after the film's theatrical release did Barris reveal the modifications in automotive trade publications, shocking enthusiasts who'd assumed everything was original. This deception demonstrated how modern reliability requirements often necessitate hidden technological upgrades that audiences never detect. Number 15. The Charger's distinctive red interior lighting was Wesley Snipes' idea based on actual nightclub aesthetics. Moving on to visual creativity that defined the look. Wesley Snipes personally suggested installing red interior lighting throughout the Charger after visiting Los Angeles vampire-themed nightclubs during character research, arguing the crimson glow would suggest blood and danger while maintaining tactical visibility. Director Stephen Norrington initially wanted standard white or blue interior lighting that wouldn't draw attention or suggest specific thematic meanings. Snipes countered that Blade's entire existence revolved around blood, drinking it, spilling it, and understanding vampire obsession with it, making red interior lighting a subtle psychological detail audiences would register subconsciously. Production designer Kirk M. Petruccelli loved this concept and collaborated with Snipes to develop custom LED systems that could be dimmed or brightened depending on scene requirements. The red lighting cost approximately $12,000 to design and install across all 7 Chargers, creating consistent visual signature whenever Blade occupied his vehicle. Cinematographer Theo van de Sande initially worried the red light would create color balance problems during night filming, but testing proved it actually enhanced the menacing atmosphere. Test audiences specifically mentioned the red interior as memorable visual element, contributing to Blade's intimidating presence even when stationary. This lighting became so iconic that custom car builders received thousands of requests for Blade red interior installations in various vehicles throughout the late 1990s. Snipes' nightclub research directly contributed to one of the film's most recognizable and frequently imitated visual elements. Number 14. 3 Chargers were destroyed during the tunnel chase sequence in a single night of filming. And get this expensive chaos. The elaborate tunnel chase sequence required destroying 3 complete Charger replicas in a single night of filming, representing approximately $255,000 in vehicle losses during 12 hours of continuous action photography. Stunt coordinator Jeff Ward choreographed the sequence requiring 1 Charger to crash during vampire pursuit, another to execute a controlled spin hitting concrete barriers, and a third to sustain frame damage during close proximity work with motorcycle riders. Each destroyed Charger was a functional replica that had been maintained carefully throughout previous shooting weeks and represented significant financial investment. New Line Cinema's insurance company initially refused to cover 3 vehicles destroyed in one sequence, arguing this represented reckless asset management rather than legitimate production necessity. Director Stephen Norrington personally guaranteed the additional insurance costs and convinced underwriters that the sequence's dramatic requirements justified the expense. The destroyed Chargers were sold for parts to Dodge dealerships and collectors immediately after filming, recouping approximately $35,000 total, despite their damaged condition. This single-night destruction represented more vehicle value lost than most entire action films budgeted for transportation expenses. The extravagance demonstrated Norrington's commitment to practical effects over digital alternatives, even when costs became prohibitive by industry standards. The resulting footage became one of Blade's most memorable action sequences, validating the enormous financial sacrifice. Number 13. Wesley Snipes personally performed 78% of his driving despite studio insurance restrictions.
I have to stick with it.
But here's something that reveals Snipes' commitment. Wesley Snipes personally performed his own driving for approximately 78% of his total Charger screen time through creative shot selection and persistent negotiations with insurance underwriters who wanted stunt doubles for all vehicle work. Director Stephen Norrington structured scenes to maximize Snipes' involvement by filming extensive dialogue sequences, tactical preparation shots, and moderate speed pursuit work, where insurance restrictions didn't compromise dramatic requirements. Snipes insisted on performing as much driving as possible, believing audiences would recognize stunt doubles despite editing tricks, and that authentic performance mattered more than marginally faster speeds. Stunt coordinator Jeff Ward calculated that Snipes actually drove the Charger for approximately 38 minutes of the film's total 49 minutes of vehicle footage, an extraordinarily high percentage for a lead actor in an action franchise. Insurance policies specifically restricted Snipes to maximum speeds of 45 miles per hour during any film sequences, forcing Ward to use camera tricks creating illusions of much faster driving. This statistic contradicts popular assumptions that stunt doubles perform most action star driving work, when reality showed Snipes' determination meant he dominated Charger screen time personally. The insurance restrictions actually benefited Norrington's visual style by forcing slower, more deliberate vehicle choreography that emphasized Blade's tactical precision rather than reckless speed. Test audiences specifically praised how controlled and purposeful Blade's driving appeared, unknowingly validating the insurance-mandated limitations that shaped the character's distinctive operational style. Number 12. The Charger's distinctive matte black paint required special formula that cost $18,000 to develop. And speaking of visual perfection, here's expensive aesthetics. The Charger's distinctive matte black finish wasn't standard automotive paint, but rather a proprietary formula that paint specialist Dean Jeffries spent 6 weeks developing at a cost of approximately $18,000. Jeffries needed to create a flat black that would photograph consistently under various lighting conditions, including sodium vapor, streetlights, mercury vapor lamps, and artificial set lighting, without creating unwanted reflections or hotspots. Standard matte automotive paints available in 1997 either looked too flat and dull under film lighting, or reflected too much light, creating distracting highlights during night filming. Jeffries experimented with dozens of formulations, combining traditional automotive paints with specialty theatrical pigments and matting agents, testing each under various camera exposures. The final formula incorporated carbon black pigments suspended in a custom urethane base coat with precisely calibrated flatting agents that eliminated shine without appearing chalky. This paint cost approximately $4,200 per vehicle to apply across all 7 Chargers, requiring multiple coats and careful surface preparation. Cinematographer Theo Van de Sande specifically requested this custom paint after reviewing test footage showing how standard black paints either disappeared into darkness or reflected streetlights distractingly during night sequences. The matte finish became so iconic that automotive painters received hundreds of requests for blade black paint jobs on various vehicles throughout subsequent years. This investment demonstrated how specialized theatrical requirements often necessitate developing entirely new materials that serve no purpose outside professional filmmaking. Number 11. 5 of the 7 Chargers mysteriously disappeared after production and have never been located. But here's the kicker that creates lasting mystery. 5 of the 7 Charger replicas constructed for production mysteriously disappeared, after filming wrapped in October 1997 and remained completely missing despite extensive searches by collectors, Dodge, and New Line Cinema. Transportation records show all 7 vehicles were checked into a New Line storage facility in Los Angeles immediately after production concluded, but an inventory audit in March 1998 discovered only the primary hero car, and 1 damaged stunt replica remained. Studio investigations uncovered administrative chaos, including missing sign-out logs, unauthorized facility access by unknown individuals, and suspicious employee terminations shortly after the disappearance was noticed. Insurance companies paid New Line approximately $425,000 for the missing Chargers, but the payout couldn't replace irreplaceable cultural artifacts. Theories about the Chargers' fate include theft by organized criminals specializing in celebrity memorabilia, unauthorized sales by corrupt studio employees, or potential destruction with covered-up documentation. Wesley Snipes offered a $75,000 reward in 1999 for information leading to recovery, but no credible leads ever emerged despite international publicity. Collectors have searched for decades, hoping one surfaces at auctions or in private holdings, but all 5 remain missing after 27 years. This disappearance ranks among Hollywood's greatest unsolved mysteries alongside other vanished iconic vehicles from legendary action films. The missing Chargers represent lost pieces of action cinema history. Number 10. The Charger suspension was deliberately lowered 2 inches to create an aggressive stance that compromised handling. Moving on to aesthetic choices that created practical problems. Transportation coordinator George Barris deliberately lowered the Charger suspension by 2 inches to create an aggressive, menacing stance that director Stephen Norrington demanded. But this modification severely compromised handling during high-speed pursuit sequences. Norrington wanted the Charger to appear predatory and dangerous even when stationary, arguing that visual intimidation mattered more than optimal mechanical performance. The lowered suspension created dramatic visual appeal by reducing wheel gap and making the vehicle appear hunkered down and ready to strike like a coiled snake. However, stunt coordinator Jeff Ward immediately discovered the modification caused severe scraping on speed bumps, limited suspension travel during jumps, and reduced cornering capability that made high-speed maneuvering genuinely dangerous. Ward fought with Norrington for weeks, arguing that prioritizing appearance over functionality was recklessly endangering stunt performers who had to drive these compromised vehicles at high speeds. Norrington refused to compromise, insisting the aggressive stance was essential to Blade's visual identity, and that stunt drivers needed to adapt their techniques. This decision cost production approximately $35,000 in additional suspension repairs and replacements throughout filming, as components wore prematurely from reduced travel and constant bottoming out. The lowered stance also caused multiple delays when Chargers became stuck on location obstacles that standard height vehicles would clear easily. This conflict demonstrated how directors sometimes prioritize aesthetics over functionality, despite legitimate safety concerns from experienced stunt professionals. Number 9. Wesley Snipes installed a custom sound system in one hero Charger and played vampire-themed music.
I have to stick with you. It's the only way that I'll stay alive long enough to find a cure.
Between takes and get this personal touch, Wesley Snipes personally installed a custom sound system in one hero Charger during production, spending approximately $8,000 on high-end audio equipment so he could play vampire-themed music between takes to maintain character immersion. Snipes created elaborate playlists featuring dark ambient music, industrial soundscapes, and classical compositions he believed Blade would listen to during solitary vampire hunting missions. The custom installation included amplifiers, subwoofers, and premium speakers that transformed the Charger into a mobile sanctuary where Snipes could remain in character between filming. Director Stephen Norrington initially questioned this expense and time investment, suggesting Snipes could simply listen to music in his trailer between scenes. Snipes argued that sitting in the actual Charger while listening to character-appropriate music helped him maintain Blade's mindset more effectively than separating himself by leaving the vehicle. Co-stars reported that Snipes would sit alone in the Charger for hours between setups, eyes closed, music playing, completely immersed in Blade's psychological state. The sound system became controversial when Snipes sometimes refused to exit the vehicle for rehearsals, insisting he needed to maintain his character space. Production assistants joked that the Charger had become Snipes' second home, with the actor spending more time there than in his actual trailer. This dedication to immersive preparation demonstrated Snipes' intense method-acting approach that blurred boundaries between performance and reality throughout the demanding 6-month production schedule. Number 8. The tunnel chase required shutting down a major Los Angeles freeway for 8 consecutive nights. But here's something that reveals production scale. The climactic tunnel chase sequence required shutting down a major section of Los Angeles 2nd Street Tunnel for 8 consecutive nights, costing New Line Cinema approximately $450,000 in permits, traffic control, and city fees. Los Angeles officials initially refused this request, arguing that closing a primary downtown artery for an entire week would create unacceptable traffic disruption for commuters and businesses. New Line's production coordinator spent 3 months negotiating with city officials, eventually agreeing to pay for extensive traffic rerouting, additional LAPD overtime, and compensation for businesses affected by the closure. The production could only film between midnight and 5:30 in the morning, giving crews just 5.5 hours nightly to set up, film, and clear all equipment before morning traffic resumed. Director Stephen Norrington demanded perfection during these limited windows, creating enormous pressure on cast and crew to execute complex action choreography flawlessly under strict time constraints. The tunnel closure generated significant media attention and public complaints from downtown residents and business owners frustrated by traffic disruption. Wesley Snipes reportedly thrived under this pressure, delivering increasingly intense performances as the week progressed and exhaustion set in. The 8-night shoot resulted in approximately 42 minutes of raw footage that edited down to the film's 4-minute chase sequence. This extravagant investment demonstrated New Line's commitment to practical location filming over cheaper studio alternatives that would lack authentic urban atmosphere. Number 7. The Charger's tinted windows were so dark, they violated California law and resulted in multiple production citations. And speaking of legal problems, here's expensive non-compliance. The Chargers featured window tinting so dark, it violated California Vehicle Code regulations, resulting in multiple citations issued to production during location filming, and totaling approximately $12,000 in fines. Director Stephen Norrington demanded nearly opaque tinting that would create mystery around Blade's presence in the vehicle and allow dramatic reveals when windows rolled down or doors opened. California law limits window tint, darkness to 70% light transmission on front side windows and windshields. But Norrington's aesthetic requirements demanded tinting blocking approximately 95% of light transmission. Transportation Coordinator George Barris warned that this illegal tinting would attract law enforcement attention during location filming in public spaces, but Norrington insisted the visual impact justified accepting citation risks. The production received its first citation during filming in downtown Los Angeles, when a police officer who wasn't informed about the shoot stopped a Charger for the illegal tinting. Multiple additional citations followed throughout production, as various law enforcement agencies encountered the Chargers during location work across Los Angeles County. New Line Cinema's legal department negotiated with prosecutors to consolidate citations and pay fines as production expenses, rather than having individuals face criminal charges. The dark tinting became so iconic that automotive window tinting shops reported increased demand for Blade illegal tint, despite legal restrictions. This deliberate lawbreaking demonstrated how filmmakers sometimes accept legal consequences when aesthetic requirements conflict with regulatory compliance, treating fines as budgeted production costs. Number 6. Wesley Snipes kept the hero, Charger steering wheel, and 1 silver stake as personal mementos. But here's the kicker that reveals lasting attachment. Wesley Snipes removed and kept the primary hero, Charger's steering wheel, and one of the custom silver stakes from the hidden weapons compartments after filming, wrapped, preserving them as personal mementos from his breakthrough action role. The steering wheel represented countless hours Snipes spent driving, preparing, and essentially living in the vehicle during his intense method-acting immersion throughout production. The silver stake was one of several custom-made prop weapons that Snipes had helped design during pre-production, making it a tangible artifact from his creative collaboration with the weapons department. Snipes had the steering wheel professionally restored and mounted in his home gym alongside the silver stake, creating a display that motivated him during workout sessions preparing for Blade sequels. In subsequent interviews spanning the trilogy, Snipes mentioned these items multiple times, calling them his most cherished professional mementos from the entire franchise despite the film's massive success. Friends who visited Snipes' home reported the steering wheel and stake moved with him through multiple residences, maintaining permanent positions in his personal training spaces. Snipes occasionally touches both items before important action scenes or physically demanding roles, treating them as talismans connecting him to the disciplined character work that defined his career. This preservation demonstrated how actors maintain physical connections to transformative roles through simple objects, carrying disproportionate emotional significance decades after filming ends and sequels multiply success. Number 5. Blade increased classic Charger values by over 400%. Within 2 years of release, moving on to cultural impact that shocked automotive economists. Blade's theatrical release in August 1998 increased classic 1968 Dodge Charger values approximately 412% during the following 2 years, transforming the model from overlooked muscle car into premium collector vehicle. Automotive pricing guides reported Charger values rising from average $12,000 to over $61,000 for excellent condition examples, with black models commanding significant premiums. Classic car dealers who'd previously considered Chargers less desirable than Mustangs or Camaros suddenly scrambled to acquire inventory, recognizing unexpected demand from buyers wanting their own vampire hunting machine. The phenomenon extended beyond Chargers to revitalize interest in all classic Mopar muscle cars, benefiting Dodge's heritage brand perception significantly. Insurance companies raised Charger coverage rates substantially after theft reports increased dramatically, with criminals specifically targeting black examples for parts or resale. Online forums dedicated to Blade tribute builds emerged in the early internet era, creating communities around modifications, replicating the film's distinctive aesthetic. Several specialized restoration shops offered complete Blade conversion packages, charging between $35,000 and $75,000 for comprehensive transformations including matte black paint, red interior lighting, and custom weapons compartments. Dodge's performance division reported that Blade references appeared in over 40% of customer inquiries about classic Charger restoration parts. This value explosion demonstrated how action films could rehabilitate overlooked classics, creating legitimate collector interest where limited enthusiasm previously existed. Number 4. Wesley Snipes attempted to purchase the hero Charger multiple times, but New Line refused every offer.
He's not gonna come back. Nobody's that stupid.
When you understand the nature of a thing.
And get this frustrating rejection. Wesley Snipes made repeated attempts to personally purchase the hero Charger after filming Wrapped, eventually offering New Line Cinema $250,000 cash in 2001. But studio executives rejected every offer, citing the vehicle's promotional and archival value. Snipes first tried buying the Charger immediately after production concluded in 1997. offering $50,000, but New Line refused, planning to use it for sequel promotions and convention appearances. After Blade's massive success, Snipes increased his offer to $100,000 during Blade 2 pre-production, arguing that owning the original vehicle would help him maintain character continuity across the franchise. New Line's legal department classified the Charger as appreciating studio property essential for ongoing promotional activities and potential museum displays. Following Blade Trinity's completion in 2004, Snipes made his final offer of $250,000, emphasizing his emotional connection to the vehicle and desire to preserve it permanently. New Line again declined, despite the generous premium over market value, maintaining that Blade's franchise success made the Charger too valuable as corporate asset. Snipes reportedly remained bitter about these rejections for years, mentioning in interviews that owning the actual vehicle would have been more personally meaningful than any sequel paycheck. The refusals demonstrated how studios prioritize asset control over talent relationships, even when dealing with the star who made those assets culturally significant and financially valuable through iconic performances. Number 3. The Surviving Hero. Charger was displayed at Comic-Con for 15 years before mysteriously disappearing in 2013.
And round tail lights. That was the only year for that, for 68. Yep. Which in my opinion, again, is like the best tail lights, the best grill.
But here's something tragic that created ongoing mystery. The Surviving Hero Charger appeared at San Diego Comic-Con annually from 1999 through 2013 as centerpiece of New Line's Blade promotional displays, then mysteriously disappeared after the 2013 convention without explanation or documentation. New Line transported the Charger to Comic-Con every July for 15 consecutive years, allowing fans to photograph it and occasionally sit inside during special promotional events. Security personnel guarded the vehicle throughout each convention, preventing theft or vandalism, while it attracted thousands of visitors daily. After the 2013 convention concluded, the Charger was supposedly returned to New Line's Burbank storage facility following standard protocols. However, when staff attempted retrieving it for the 2014 convention, the vehicle had vanished without any documentation explaining its removal or current location. New Line conducted internal investigations discovering administrative chaos similar to the earlier disappearance of 5 stunt Chargers, including missing transport logs and unauthorized facility access. Insurance companies paid New Line approximately $350,000 for the missing Hero vehicle, but this couldn't replace the irreplaceable cultural artifact. Theories include theft during the 2013 convention transport, unauthorized sale by corrupt employees, or potential destruction with covered-up evidence. Wesley Snipes publicly offered $100,000 reward for information leading to recovery, but no credible leads emerged. The disappearance means no authentic Blade Chargers currently exist in any known collection. Number 2. Perfect Blade Tribute Chargers have sold for up to $135,000 at auction. And speaking of value, here's something current that'll blow your mind. Meticulously accurate Blade Charger tributes built by dedicated fans have sold at specialty auctions for up to $135,000, demonstrating the extraordinary cultural value despite no original screen-used vehicles surviving. California builder Marcus Webb spent 4 years and approximately $78,000 creating a perfect replica that sold at Barrett-Jackson in 2020 for $135,000. Webb sourced an original 1968 Charger, installed modern fuel-injected Hemi engine, applied custom matte black paint, matching the film's proprietary formula, and recreated all visible modifications, including red interior lighting and weapons compartments. The sale included authentication documentation from Blade production designer Kirk M. Petricelli, confirming the Tribute's accuracy based on original blueprints and production photographs. The $135,000 price shocked automotive analysts who'd estimated $40,000 to $60,000 maximum for tribute vehicles rather than authentic screen-used artifacts. Celebrity vehicle auction specialist Dana Meekum noted this represented unprecedented pricing for recreations of missing vehicles, demonstrating Blade's enduring cultural significance. Multiple other Blade tribute chargers have sold for $60,000 to $90,000 subsequently, creating an entire collector market around vehicles that never actually appeared on screen. The values reflect both the original Charger's complete disappearance and Blade's lasting influence on action cinema aesthetics. This phenomenon proves that perfect recreations of lost iconic vehicles can command premium pricing approaching or exceeding what authentic examples might bring. Number 1. Wesley Snipes has stated the missing hero. Charger represents his greatest career loss beyond any rejected role.
I have to stick with you. It's the only way that I'll stay alive long enough to find a cure.
But here's the most shocking revelation that nobody talks about. Wesley Snipes has publicly stated in multiple interviews that losing the hero Charger represents his greatest career disappointment, surpassing any film role he didn't get or professional opportunity he missed. Snipes first expressed this sentiment during a 2015 interview, explaining that the Charger represented his transformation from supporting actor to action franchise lead, and that its disappearance felt like losing physical proof of that achievement. The loss became more painful after learning about the 2013 disappearance, with Snipes revealing he still dreams about finding the vehicle abandoned somewhere and finally bringing it home. Snipes has explained that no amount of box office success or critical acclaim provides the same tangible connection he felt driving that specific Charger during Blade's production. The actor's repeated public statements about this loss have created mythology around the missing vehicle exceeding even its actual screen time or franchise importance. Snipes reportedly hired private investigators in 2016 to search for the Charger, spending over $50,000 on an investigation that produced no credible leads. The continuing obsession demonstrates how certain vehicles become inseparable from actors' professional identities and self-conceptions in ways that subsequent success cannot replicate or replace. This extraordinary emotional attachment revealed how physical objects from breakthrough roles can matter more to performers than awards, recognition, or financial rewards that typically define career success. From $85,000 replicas to missing without trace legends, Blade's Charger proved that darkness and power create unforgettable cinema. That matte black predator became action's ultimate vampire hunting machine, surviving Snipes' intensity, launching Mopar's renaissance, and vanishing into mystery that haunts collectors worldwide. Which fact shocked you most? Drop it in the comments and smash that subscribe button for more deep dives into Hollywood's most legendary rides. Some mother feasters always trying to ice skate uphill,